This is lesson 3.1, pairs of lines and angles. So we're going to talk about some terms that we may have seen before and maybe some ones that are new. So parallel lines are going to be coplanar lines, so lines that can share a plane that never intersect. We're going to use arrows or triangles to show that lines are parallel. So if I wanted to say that line WV is parallel to line TU, they may show us by putting little triangles on the lines like that. And they're going to use a symbol for parallel, so like WV is parallel to TU. We use a little set of parallel lines to show parallel. Skew lines will also never intersect, but they are non-coplanar, which means they're not going to go the same direction. So in our picture, SP will never cross UQ, but they're also going two completely different directions. So we can say SP and UQ are skew lines. Perpendicular lines are lines that are coplanar and they intersect to form right angles. We use a little box in the corner and we have a symbol for perpendicular as well. So if we had a box in this corner here, we would know that line PQ and line UQ are perpendicular. So we could say PQ is perpendicular to UQ. And then we have parallel planes. So those are planes. Oh, I just saw that it says lines. Planes that never intersect. So an example here, like the top and the bottom would be parallel planes, or the front and the back would be parallel planes. So we could say plane, the top, we could pick any three of these four letters, plane TWV is parallel to plane, and we could say the bottom, any three letters here, SPQ. So in our first example, we're going to name all segments parallel to FG. So FG is the one that they've drawn a little extra on. So I'm looking for anything that's going the same direction as FG that will never touch FG. So we could say AB is going the same direction as FG and will never intersect. We could also say the same thing about DC. It's going the same direction as FG but will never cross it. And EH. If I want skew to FG, I'm looking for never crossing, but also not going the same direction. So I can't use any of the lines I already chose because we know those are all parallel, and I can't use any line that contains either the letter F or G because that means they intersected. So we could say BC. We could say AD. We could say CH, and we can say DE. For perpendicular, now we are looking at making a right angle, and I only see two that show me right angles on FG. So that would be FA and BG. And our last one is a plane parallel to plane AFG. So plane AFG is the top, which means the bottom is going to be what's parallel to it. So that would be plane, and I'm going to pick any three of these four letters out of D, E, H, and C, so I could say DEH. But as long as I use three of those four, I'm good. So here's a check-in for you to try. If you go online to our notes, the answers are posted. Pause if you like. All right, now we have some more terms. We have a transversal, which is a line that intersects two or more other lines. So in our picture here, line T is a transversal because it crosses both line L and line M. So now we have alternate interior angles. We are going to be comparing angles that appear in the one intersection where T intersected L with angles that formed at the other intersection between T and M. So I'm picking an angle from up here and an angle from down here, and I'm comparing them. So alternate interior would be two angles that are between, because the word interior means between or inside the two lines, and they're going to be alternating, so that's on opposite sides of the transversal. So if I picked angle 4, which is one of the angles between these two lines, I need to pick another angle that's on the opposite side of this transversal, so that would be angle 6. And if I can have alternate interior angles, I could have also alternate exterior angles. So that's outside of these two lines. So they're outside the two lines and still on opposite sides of the transversal because of that word alternate. So if I picked like angle 2, I want to go on the opposite side of the transversal now. So down here, exterior angle on the opposite side would be angle 8. If I can switch sides for interior and exterior angles, I could also stay on the same side for interior and exterior angles. So consecutive interior are angles that are between the two lines, but on the same side of the transversal. So if I'm picking between the lines and I chose angle 4, I now want to stay on the same side of this line, which means I'd be picking angle 5. And for our consecutive exterior, these are going to be two angles that are outside the two lines, right? So we're looking at 1, 2, 8, and 7, and on the same side of the transversal. So if I chose angle 1, and I want to go on the same side of my transversal, that would be with angle 8. Not all classes learn about consecutive exterior angles because not all textbooks include them, but I decided to teach them because many people do recognize that if there's consecutive interior, there should also be consecutive exterior. And corresponding. So these I think of as corresponding because they're in the same position or same seat in the car. So if I imagine a car happening with this group, person 1 is in the driver's seat, right? Let's pretend he's at the steering wheel. In the car behind them, person 5 would be in the driver's seat. So they're in the same seats of the car, they're corresponding. Corresponding angles are sometimes the hardest to see because they're not an interior or exterior angle. One is one and one is the other. So that is trickier to see sometimes for our corresponding angles. So for our next example, we're just going to identify all the pairs of angles of any given type. So for corresponding, same seats in the car. We know 1 is sitting in the same spot as 5. I could say 2 is in the same spot as 6. I could say 3 is in the same spot as 7. And I could say 4 is in the same spot as 8. For consecutive interior, so we're only looking at the inside angles, so 2, 5, 4, and 7. And I want to go on the same side of the transversal. So that would be angle 2 and angle 5. For the other pair, angle 4 and angle 7. My consecutive exterior. So now outside of our two lines, So we're only looking at 1, 3, 6, and 8, but on the same side of the transversal. So 1 and 6. Angle 3 and angle 8. Alternate exterior, so outside angles, but on opposite sides of the transversal. So if I pick 1, I have to jump to the other side to say 8. Or angle 3 and angle 6. And for our last one, we're back to some interior angles. So we're back to using the 2, 5, 4, and 7, but we're switching sides of the transversal. So if I picked 2, I would have to jump over with 7. Or angle 4 and angle 5. So here's a check-in for you to try. Pause if you'd like. You can check your answers in the notes posted online. All right, for example 3, we're just going to classify the pair that they did give us as alternate interior, alternate exterior, consecutive exterior, or corresponding. So I'm looking, my first thing is to check, are they both between or both outside the lines? They're both between the lines. So this is going to be something with the word interior. Angle 5 is in this corner and angle 4 is in this one, so they're on opposite sides of this transversal. So I would call these alternate interior angles. So here's some for you to try. You could pause if you'd like, but that is the end of section 3.1.